Here we go.
All right.
This podcast, bussin'.
Welcome to another episode of this podcast. I'm your friendly host, Jay, joined by my brother and friend. We got Mike here.
You ready to boogie with that bear?
We got Co.
Man, what we talking about?
And we got a special guest today, straight from the hillside, Black Queens, diva, the OG. Now she runs her own flower shop called Unique Arrangements. The flower lady on IG, Kenya Johnson. Let's give her a round of applause.
You forgot to mention
She was. We're gonna get into that.
Okay.
We're gonna get into, especially
That should've been
Lil
first,
John.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to give up like all the goods where we used to live and all that. No,
Right.
they don't need to know
You
that.
gotta
They
say
don't
that.
need to
You
know
just
that.
said I just said neighbor.
Oh,
That's all.
okay. Got it.
Hey man, John ran that block, man.
He did. Real quick, I want to plug the this.podcast. You can follow us on IG at this.podcast, on Twitter at thispodofficial, and all episodes are streaming on YouTube and SoundCloud. Kenya, why don't you go ahead and plug the Unique Arrangements and how they could find you there?
We are located on.
Talking to the mic.
We are located on 2876 Colorado Boulevard, Denver, Colorado 80207. If you want to reach us by phone, our phone number is 720-602-2891.
There it is. Nice. Well, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you.
you.
Like Mike was alluding to, we go way back.
Way back.
Right?
Right.
So
Way
Kenya used to
back.
be our neighbor in the hillside when I bought my first house. She lived right across the street, and she held me down while I was out there. She was letting me know how the block went, how she was running things, of course.
No, John was running.
Well, John,
John was
yeah.
running things.
Yeah.
Not
But he had to answer to the OG. You know what I mean? Like, he just couldn't run out there rampant. Like,
Right.
there was a pecking order,
Right.
you know?
I mean,
And
Absolutely.
John was playing Halo with us.
he was.
I'm
So tell him how that happened. Tell him the story.
I just
I'm
remember
going to
going
tell
down.
you all the story.
So
Go ahead.
go ahead.
One
Yeah.
morning, I was looking for my child. I'm asking his sisters, "Where's your brother? Where's your brother?" Nobody knows where this kid's at. So then I'm like, well, maybe he's across the street because that's his new hangout, okay? But I would never imagine my kid to be at someone's house at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Right. And John was around 5 at that time?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He had to be about 4 or 5. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
he was like 5. So I think I sent one of my other children over there to knock on y'all's door, and lo and behold, here comes John. He done had a bowl of cereal. He's playing video games.
Oh, yeah. John was
He's
hanging.
part of the crew.
Absolutely.
He reeling in the ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah,
y'all
for
don't
sure.
use my child.
Hey, yo.
And now he probably worse than all
She
y'all.
telling on us now.
He's
She-
a whole piece of each and every one of y'all.
Oh, yeah.
John
But
was.
I loved it. Like, I loved that block. Like, everybody knew everybody. Everybody had everybody's back.
Yeah.
That's what Park Hill is. Like, that's all I've known growing up. So
Absolutely. That's the hillside
Yeah.
right there.
That's what you
She
get.
said we had ladies in the house at 9 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, sorry.
should.
no
This was
comment.
Before y'all got married.
No comment. I'm not going to comment on that.
When them ladies
Anyways.
give John a bowl of cereal.
Probably so. And he probably was eating it up. 'Cause
That's
he
how he
thinks
was.
that-
He was like,
well, he
yo.
thinks the ladies are supposed to do that
Absolutely.
now.
Take
So,
care of my
yeah.
nephew right now. That's your
See?
job. You take care of my nephew, and then
See?
you
That's
got
why
to
he's
prove
not worth a
yourself.
quarter.
Yeah, you got to show those
Make sure you
motherly
throw the boy shorts
skills.
on when you-
Yeah, absolutely.
Just make sure you throw the boy shorts on when you
Right.
that cereal.
Fix me some bacon and eggs. Make my nephew some Fruit Loops, and then
And turn on
feed-
Halo for him.
Exactly.
Good.
You got to show.
I'm
him.
like, why y'all got this kid over here? No, he good. He good. Good job.
It's all jokes, people. It's all jokes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's start with what you're doing now. So you are a successful Black businesswoman with the Unique Arrangements, And prior to that, you were working at the post office, right?
Yes, I was a postal worker, and then I also I was a cosmetologist as well.
Oh, so you was
Yeah.
double dipping. You was you always had that hustle bone in you, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I never really let that go. I was a cosmetologist first, but then I started having kids, so I had to get a little bit more stability. So
You had to figure it out and like,
Yeah.
all right, I need some extra
Yeah.
income because not only do I
Right.
take care of my kids, but I want to
right.
take care of myself and
Yeah, I was a
spend a
single
little
mother.
bit.
So I had to go. You got to do what you have to do for your children. So
So let's talk a little
Got
bit
that.
about that, you being a single mother, because there's a lot of black women that have been in your situation. And me and you were having a conversation earlier just about mental health when I came into
Yes.
the shop and I got my alocasia.
Yes.
Yes, and that's a beautiful flower. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So let's dive into that as far as take us through your path and your journey of like what you had to do in order to make sure that it was okay for your children so that they, can be a child.
Pretty much growing up, I had a very good childhood. And then in my teenage years, I started getting curious.
Okay.
I was like first generation gangbanger. So I'm from Park Hill, so.
Right. So got caught up with the wrong
I
crowd.
got caught up with the wrong crowd because I wanted to get caught up with the wrong crowd. Pretty much I was just out there just because. But it helped me, you know what I'm saying? Because now I'm very street smart. I know how to survive. I know how to make a way, you know what I'm saying? But then once I got 19 years old, I had a child.
Okay.
And then I had a daughter, for that matter. So things had to get better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then
You had decisions that you had to make.
Yeah, and then my grandparents raised me from 12 to, adulthood.
Yeah.
And my grandfather he was a very smart man. So he was like, you have to be self-sufficient and independent. Don't depend on anybody. You have to be the one to make your way. You know what I'm saying? So that stuck. So, you know what I'm saying? I knew I had to do what I had to do,
In order to survive.
Yeah, like I had to get myself together. And like I said, I come from good stock, you know what I'm saying? So that's all I know how to do is make a way and take care of myself. So I took care of my kids. My kids' dads are really nice dads, but they were just like me, so I ended up being a single parent.
Gotcha. Just a little stubborn, bullheaded at times, especially at a young age.
It is, you know what I'm saying? People get mad because things aren't like they should be, so they go off and do all kind of things, you know what I'm saying? So you have to pay for your decisions. I'm not going to call them mistakes. You have to pay for your decisions. So here it is, you know what I'm saying? So I have these kids, so I wanted to be a role model to my kids. I wanted to start changing because I always was one that, react first, talk later. I have a temper, so I had to learn how to try to, put that beast to sleep, as I would say. I had some implements because, I got hired at the post office.
Yep.
And so I utilized my insurance and start getting some treatment for my temper and all that, So
Yeah. To help you deal with
help
that
me,
mental health.
become
Absolutely.
A parent, it's not their fault. They only have one of me. I had great family support, like tremendous family support. Like my grandmother was awesome. I worked at night. I would take my kids. If y'all remember, I would pack up my kids by 8 o'clock at night, drive them around the corner to my grandmother's house.
Absolutely. I
would
do
go
remember.
to work. Yeah, I would go
Yep.
to work at night, come back in the morning, pick them up. Some days if they wanted my grandfather to take them to school, he would take them to school. If not, I would go pick them up, take them to school, come home, go to bed. When it was time for them to get out of school, I picked them up, same routine.
And you did all this as a single mother.
Yeah, all this as a single mother. And then I ended up meeting my husband,
Yep.
which my husband, we have a long back and forth relationship.
So
I've been
long.
knowing him since I was like 5, because him and my brother were best friends.
Got it.
And then we started dating in high school, you know. So I would say he was kind of like my high school sweetheart, I guess.
No, we all go through that, right? You find that high school sweetheart,
yeah.
and
How'd
then
y'all meet? Let's kind of delve
we
into
met
that. How did y'all meet?
we met again after me growing up.
No, I want to go to high school.
At high
So
school.
when y'all hooked up, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Go
at
ahead.
high school at George Washington.
Okay.
It's Halloween.
GW in the house.
Yeah, and that's how we connect back again. And it was like
Who kissed
that.
who first?
I think
Who
Jeff
made the
kissed
first
me
move?
first because he really liked me.
Yeah.
Well, who said I love you first?
I think he told me he loved me
Yeah,
first
see,
too.
that's-
Look
Was-
at that.
Was it
that
two
in-
gangsters?
Queen.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
he wasn't
right
telling
there.
me.
Oh, no, he said he loved me first.
But I'm a nice
Right.
lady.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you say
absolutely.
he loved you back then in high school, or was
Yes,
it- okay,
in
gotcha.
high school.
All
And
right,
then
just-
once we got to like adults, we kind of like
yeah,
Drifted apart.
drifted apart. But you know, we had that. We came back as like, that's my brother, I'm his sister type relationship.
Okay, so
those do happen.
So
Got it.
fellas,
Absolutely.
So
I'm gonna have to
fellas,
take my glasses off. For
yeah.
this.
So fellas, real quick. hey. So fellas, real quick. When she comes to you and said, "That's my brother,"
Hey.
I don't think you need to believe that. That's not.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna keep it 100. I ain't.
That's just a
listen,
that's just a cover up
That's a
right
cover
there.
up. That's a
Listen,
cover up.
I ain't for the brothers and I ain't for the sisters. I'm for the truth. Yeah, you might want to investigate. Shit. Excuse me, truth.
No, you
because
fine. Yep.
You know what?
You could curse.
That
You
may
could-
not be right because when I got married, one guy was like, "Dang, I thought that was your brother."
Hey,
Uh-huh.
hey,
But that's the kind of
got
relationship
him.
you want. Is like
But
we're
we were,
real good
but you know
friends.
what?
Yeah.
Yes.
We were great friends
We
first.
were great friends. Like we knew each other like nothing. Like his issues, like it wasn't nothing. Like
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
it wasn't no judgment or nothing.
Right. So how did he get out the friend zone? That's what I want to know.
You know, one day he was just like he shot his shot.
He shot his shot.
He shot his shot? Okay.
And he scored. You know what I'm saying?
Was
So-
that Stella Rosa?
No, at the time it was Jose Cuervo.
Oh,
Oh,
That's where
okay.
we start.
I thought it was
Got it.
Mad Dog 2020.
No, sir.
Oh, that
Great.
Carlos
Great.
Rossi, that
no,
that top of the
no,
line
sir.
wine.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
I just started drinking wine.
I mean, I'm single. I might have
Yeah.
to talk to this man, get myself out that friend zone.
Yeah,
I need some advice from an old player.
yeah.
Nah. But what that tells you is that you know, fellas, shoot your shot, man.
Yeah, go
Absolutely.
for it.
Good ones, go
So
for
we
it.
end up getting married, you know, and that was my second marriage. And so it turned out to be okay because, again, he was my friend.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And when you marry your friend, it's just like, it's all good, you know. So then I was working at nights and he would be at home with my children. And so
It just all worked,
it
right?
just all kind of worked out, you know what I'm saying?
And
it
he
was all
accepted
good.
him as his own.
Yeah,
and
he
everything.
always did because, again, like I said, he was always around. Like, I never had a lot of people around my children,
Yep.
but, you know, he would come around, you know, because, like I said, he was my brother's friend, and, you know, he would come to our gatherings, or we would always be somewhere where he would be there, so they knew him. So it wasn't like a big surprise. Like, I have really nonchalant kids. Like,
They're the
if
coolest.
they say something, it's really a problem. But if not, they just be like, oh, okay.
No, they're the sweetest
All right.
and laid back,
Yeah.
easy to
So,
get
it
along
was
with,
easy,
likable.
yeah.
Like they're very
Yeah,
cool.
if
You did a
he-
great
if it
job.
was something, then I knew it wouldn't have worked. Like, that was my detector. Like, my kids.
Round of applause for Jeff. Like that.
Yeah, like,
He was a good dude.
he was a good dude.
Very
Absolutely.
good dude. He's,
Absolutely.
yes. So we were talking about mental health
Yes.
earlier, and if you don't mind sharing some of why you got into this state where you felt like you had to, you know, have therapy, go see somebody for your mental health. You had something very tragic that happened
Yes.
in your life, and I would like you to talk about
Yeah.
a little
I
bit about that.
I can share my story because it's one that can be shared. growing up, people will always be like, "You crazy, you crazy," and I'd be like, "Dang, that's jacked up."
Right.
But honestly, I probably was crazy, or I am crazy to you. You know what I'm saying? But people don't believe that they have, like, mental health isn't for real, but it is real. It's a real thing.
Right.
Once,
Especially
like,
at that time, you know, like back in the 90s,
in
early
the 90s,
2000s.
because I'm going to tell you something. When you go through a lot of traumatic things, when you're young, you kind of like brush it off your shoulders.
Right.
But once you get to becoming older and maturing, I told you, life catches up to you, right?
Right.
So then you have to figure out what you're going to do with it. You either going to self-medicate, you're going to go beat up Courtney, or you're going to
you're going to take your anger and aggressions out on other people.
Sit somewhere in the corner
and
looking
just try
at the
to
wall.
cope.
You know what I'm saying? So once it catches up to you, you have to figure out how to deal with it. And then once it catches up to you, you have to relearn yourself, because it's a new self. Like, it ain't yourself before, because you done went through all these experiences. You done went through all this traumatic stuff. Just, you change. Things are changing. Not only life has changed, you are changing as well. You know what I'm saying? And then if you have children, you done went through some stuff with your children. Like, all that takes effect on you.
Right.
So
and
if
you got to
don't
release
pay attention,
that.
if you don't pay attention to that thing, it can ruin you. So I got to a point where I had went through so many traumatic things in my life. The last couple of things was I lost my grandfather in a very traumatic way. You know what I'm saying? We went to go. My grandmother said he didn't come home one night. We went over his house, me and my granddaughter, and he was laid out on his back door.
Yeah.
They made it seem like it was going to be okay. And we get to the hospital, and it was like the movies. Like, anytime I see a movie like that, I just can't watch it, because it was like the movies. They came in and was like, he didn't make it.
And that was like that was real life for you.
What? He didn't make it. And all I could hear, and to this day, all I could hear is my child screaming. My oldest daughter just screaming. Like, you just couldn't believe it. And then 3 months later, my husband goes missing. We can't find him. And then we end up finding him, and he's dead in his car, and he had been there for overnight. Those are traumatic. Those are things that I had to go through. But in the process of me, a couple of years before all these things happened, I obtained a therapist. And so I had her during this. Me and Jeff would go see her, because like I told you, I had a temper. I was irate. And one day I just flashed in front of one of my kids. So that's how I got this therapist, because I needed to know, was it my husband or was it me? Because if it was my husband, he got to go.
Got it.
So we start seeing this therapist.
Right.
And black people don't never want to go see nobody, because they think, oh, I got it. No, go see somebody.
Right,
you know
because
what I'm
that's...
saying? Get it out.
Absolutely.
Try to figure out why you got this new feeling, or where did it come from? You know what I'm saying? And if you don't feel comfortable with whomever you're talking to, get another one. You know what I'm saying? Because that might happen to you. Well, the one I got, she was A1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when my husband went missing, I called her. She was the first person I called. And she talked me through it. And when I found him, you know, I was just so happy I found him. You know what I'm saying? So it was something, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. You know what I'm saying? I still was able to take care of my business. I still was able to, like, be strong. You know what I'm saying? So after all this has happened, then I'm working, and then this young man comes up to me and verbally assaults me.
And this is while you're working for the post office.
This is while I'm working for the post office. They didn't end up doing too much about it.
So how did that altercation take place? Like, how did it get to this point?
I don't know. He thought I said something to him, or, you know, he probably was suffering from something too.
Right.
Who knows? Because I wasn't the first person he's ever ran up on.
Right.
And they haven't did nothing about it. But, you know, he wasn't going to do it to me again. So.
But this is happening at the, if you don't mind me saying,
I don't say
the United States Post
say.
Office,
Yes.
as far as some man threatening you to, for whatever reason, he's in your face and saying things to, like, he's going to take you out like you are a man. And then
like I'm one of
after
you
all that,
guys.
yeah, and then after all that, I guess things are calming down, and he said, "I'm gonna see you in the parking lot later."
Yeah, like I'll take you to the parking lot. I'll take you to the parking lot. So, all right.
Got it.
But what really happened to me, instead of me like reacting, because he was like John's size.
Okay.
So anybody John's size, I probably think I could take. Because I'm like fearless, like honestly. Because I'm still running up on him.
Yeah,
Like,
because
there's
those
nothing
motherly
you can say to
vibes,
me.
yeah,
I'm
they
taking
kick in.
off on you.
Right.
Whether it's right or wrong, it's probably not whatever.
Absolutely.
That's my house and that's my son. But yeah, you know, at the end of the day, I didn't do anything.
Right.
That's what really bothered me. That I just didn't do anything. I just was like, so once I didn't do anything, I needed to go talk to somebody about that.
Right. Because you have this built-up aggression.
Yeah, I'm trained to go. Like, ain't nobody finna
was
run up on
that-
me.
But do you feel like that was the therapy that kind of kicked in? You know what I mean?
I
To
believe
give
that
you-
I valued my job.
Yeah.
For one, and then for two, yeah, I have been praying to God to change me, to guide me, to make me a better person.
Right.
And then I'm going to therapy. So I think it was a bunch of those things. But at the time, when you're used to doing something and you don't do it, it freaks you out. Like, it freaked me out.
Yeah.
I didn't care about nothing else. I was just wondering why the fuck I didn't punch this kid in the face.
Right.
Like, because I'm telling you, he was right in my face. So why didn't I react like I would have reacted?
But to Cole's point, maybe it's because you went through the therapy that you
Yes, but I needed somebody
gathered
to say
yourself.
that.
Right.
So I'm a person that needs somebody to explain something to me.
So you needed that affirmation of
Yes.
like, why
That you
am I
did- that you did the
acting
right
like
thing.
this?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
yes.
with you.
And so I went on and I allowed this to go on, and I allowed them to lie to me and say they were going to look into it and they were going to fix it. Well, they didn't do it. So now at this point, I have to make some decisions.
Gotcha.
Yes, I've been on this job for, at the time, 12 years, and it does me very good. It takes care of my family.
Right.
You know, I got a kid in college, which she has a full ride, which I don't have to pay for, but then I also have, you know, one more kid. He's almost done with school. So I had to think about some things, right?
Right.
My husband's passed. You know, I just have
It's
to
just
think
all
about
these
some things. Yeah, all
things
this stuff.
that are coming into
But
fruition.
then I also still had a clear mind of I need to get myself together, because myself isn't together. Because now, as time is going on, my kids are getting older, and now it's just me by myself. My
Right.
child has graduated from high school. I'm not going to basketball games. I don't have to run so-and-so here, so-and-so there. So it's just me by myself. Now I have to figure out what I'm going to do about me.
Right.
There's nothing for me to do now but to concentrate on me.
Right.
So now I can see everything clear. Now I'm grieving because I didn't get a chance to grieve because I was being somebody's mom. Now I'm paying attention to why I'm feeling a certain kind of way. Now I'm understanding that I'm having anxiety attacks because I'm getting this feeling that I've never felt. So I'm looking into these things.
Yeah, because before you were
hadn't-
a mom, so
Yeah.
you had to focus on the kids. You
Yeah.
had those distractions,
I
and
had
now
those distractions. Now
those
I
are
don't-
removed. Now it's just you
Yes.
concentrating on yourself.
Yes. So when things got to being too much, I made a decision to step away and walk out on faith, as they would say. And I walked away and just
You bet on yourself.
I bet on myself, but I also had to stand up for myself. And because I know if I would have continued in that atmosphere, because pretty much everything that happened to me
Right.
as an adult within those years, traumatic, I was working in that building. So I no longer could work in that building. So when I was trying to get away and get out, when I tried to move to Georgia with my job and they blocked me from that,
Right.
that was enough. That told me that's not where I'm supposed to be. So I
Uprooted. I'm out.
uprooted and left it at that. But then I was also thinking I was trying to run from here too, because it seemed like nothing was good here. It was dark. The space wasn't right. I needed to be somewhere where I was getting some peace. So Atlanta was really nice for me. It gave me peace. I really liked it. I had purchased a home there.
Nice.
everything was pretty much okay. But then I had to return here.
Got it. So let me give you some kudos, because one, you're talking about mental health and seeing a therapist for that. In the black community, at least at that time, that was taboo. Like, people, if you were going to see a therapist, people look at you sideways and be like, oh, that person's crazy, or something's wrong with them. And I want to give you kudos to be like, no, I got to work on myself. I need to release and figure out me.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't want both my children's parents to be in jail because I done knocked this lady's head off, because I know what I'm capable of doing.
Right.
I know what I've heard I've done if I don't stop myself.
Right.
So I had to take all that in consideration. And plus, I have these kids. Like, it's not on me. I would be selfish to just be like, I'm going to keep going to work. I'm going to keep doing this. F them people. I need to make my money.
But you took your power back.
Yeah.
So the way I see it, the way I see it, just hearing your story, you know what I mean? Especially being put in a situation where, normally I'm not put in a position where I'm the victim, right? Where how somebody brings a certain energy to me, and then because I went to therapy, right, and because therapy gave me a certain toolbox to say, you know what, I'm gonna pause and make a better decision, right, long term, right? But then it's a part of you that made you feel victimized. And I feel like that's where the guilt came from, to say, I can't believe I let this dude come in here, get in my face, threaten me, and I not do nothing. Then to sit on that, right? And then to sit on that, put your faith in your job to protect you, right?
Right.
And to make you feel supported, right? And ultimately that didn't happen. So in turn, you said, you know what? I'm not going to go out here and find this guy and assault him. I'm going to stop worrying about what type of energy I'm getting at this job. What I'm going to do is what I'm used to doing, but I'm going to do it in a different way. I'm going to step away from a situation that I feel is toxic for me. Yeah. And that's how I'm going to take my power back. And then that's how I'm going to, in a sense, do a 360 back to how I was at one point, in terms of taking matters into my own hand by physically assaulting someone, but instead of taking matters in my own hand by just stepping away.
Absolutely. And kudos for you doing that. Awesome. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So let's fast forward a little bit, because this puts you on your journey to you being the flower lady.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about what's the attraction of why you chose plants.
Well, actually, I'm a florist by trade. So I went to school, because once I got to Atlanta, I was going to go into interior design, because I've always liked to dress a room up. I'll say that. And so before I got to Georgia, I went to floral school here, because interior design school is like 2 years or something. So I was like, well, I'll start here. So I took the course. And I started working with fresh floral flowers. Like, I will always work with like silk flowers and doing things like that, but I never worked with fresh floral flowers. And I loved it. Like, it was so nice, and it just gave me a peace. Like, and then I learned how to make terrariums. And then that was my, right there, that hit the spot. That was for me.
Nice.
And then once I started doing that, I graduated and everything, and I still sat on it. Like, I just sat on it. And then one day God was like, you gonna get up? Like, you gonna get up and do something? So y'all know I'm hood.
Absolutely.
I'm hood as hell. So I had some terrariums, big ass bowls, like 10 ounce freaking bowls, right? 10 ounce bowls. And I went to the Horizon.
Shout out to the Horizon.
Shout out to the Horizon.
Shout out to the Horizon.
And I sold one there. I sold one at Mr. A's, and I was like, I got one more, and I ain't going home with this hoe at all. And I banged that one off. I was like, you know what? Got you. From then on, I ain't never stopped.
Now, was the Sugar Daddy's pulling that bankroll out?
What at? Yeah. At the Horizon, they was pulling them out.
Right.
Yes.
That overall pocket.
Yeah, so every Friday, if y'all remember, I would have a different flower arrangement. I would post it on my Instagram, and then I would hit the streets, like selling CDs out the back of a trunk.
Nice.
And I will post it, and I will let people know I got these arrangements. This is an arrangement for the week.
So you're just hitting that hustle.
That's it.
That was it. Just get up and go
then,
get it.
A lady asked me, could I do her a spray for her funeral? And I don't turn down nothing. Did it, and that was my start doing sympathy arrangements.
Got it. So
You know?
a lot of this is just, first it started out like therapeutic and cathartic for
Yes.
you, just to have that release, and then now you're doing what you love, right?
Yeah, and then I love to put smiles on people's faces. Like, I enjoy that so much. I enjoy when people come in my store and come to buy something and they be there for like 30 minutes. And we just having this talk about life. I've shared my story a couple of times with just people walking in, and they also have shared some things with me. Like I said, I'm a big advocate for mental health. I can't believe, I was telling Jay earlier, I cannot believe all my doctors told me that they would not release me from a job that is bothering my mental health, or that I don't have any mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Why? Because I look normal?
I think that's just a state of where we live in terms of our country. Like, we don't really give people excuses to leave work. Like I feel like we'll work you to the bone here, regardless of physical injury, regardless of mental health. You know what I mean? We'd rather have a person go to work mentally ill than trying to address an issue with that they may have with their mental health.
That's
And then at
abuse.
the end of the day, they may.
That is a form of
That's
abuse.
a form of abuse. Like, and if you don't, like, I'm glad I know myself, but that's why there's so many people that commit these.
Yeah.
I don't even know what kind of crime to say it is. It's just senseless
It
because
is.
somebody didn't listen to them. Like, I want you to listen to me.
It's all about
Absolutely.
results.
Right. And so in our group thread that we have on IG for the fellas, Co posted a awesome inspiration speech by Deion Sanders. And I won't go through it that much, but the point is that the issues you're talking about are hard and they take work, right? So when you're going to these doctors, like, to actually put the effort into figuring out what's going on, and this is just me talking, like, that takes work to go a step further and be like, all right, well let's dig into your issue, and then that's, more work and things like that. But to your point, like, that's what the therapy is there for. That's what doctors are there for. It's not just,
Yes.
if you can't find the symptom right away, or you didn't read it in a textbook or something, that doesn't mean the job is over. Right. To push the science, like, you got to dig a little bit deeper if you're really all about the practice.
Yes.
So
So this time around in my therapy, I'm asking to go back from childhood.
Right.
So before I was only at me and Jeff starting, so I was at teenage, because we started out as teenagers, to adulthood, right?
Trauma narrative.
Right. But now I want to go back to my childhood, where things have happened to me, and why am I like this, and why is my children like this? Because, again, like I was telling you, I know my grandmother suffered from depression, but I only know it because now I know the symptoms. Maybe she didn't tell us because they didn't discuss it, or maybe they didn't know. Okay?
Right.
So I don't want to do that for my children or my grandchildren. Now, before, when my kids were little, I would go cry somewhere. But now I let them see me cry. I let them see me have a breakdown. I let them see me going crazy one day, my ups and my downs, because now they can see how it is. Now I can explain why I'm having this. So if they ever are having that, they can know, well, my mom used to do X, Y, and Z. Now, what can you help me with? Instead of going and get high and, oh, ain't nothing the matter with me, or I'm good, or no.
Right.
We're not finna do that. Not
And that's where we
in
go
my
wrong.
household.
That's where we go wrong. I think we've been trained to, but and it's one of the things that over time, I think we've been trained to mask our trauma, man, because we're expected to keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like a dad could be going through all type of shit, right? But in our culture, it's like, yo, you have to remain stoic. You have to remain stoic. You have to make people around you feel like everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Because we painted a picture that if you show any
Vulnerability.
Yeah, you weak at
or like a chink in your armor, or to actually let your actual emotions play out.
So
things are
I'm
not
going to
gonna
tell
go
you
right
this. When I was coming up, I was the only girl in the group of these guys, right? And so girls wouldn't like me because, for one, I ain't no ugly chick, you know what I'm saying? And then I came from people who, like my grandfather, I was like his daughter, so anything I asked for, I always got it.
Right.
So that was an issue. So I always had issues with the girls. So I didn't really mess with girls, like, because if you don't like me, why the fuck I'm gonna be fucking with you? You know what I'm saying?
You ain't got time for that.
I just keep on moving. You stay up over there with that bullshit.
Yeah.
So I always hung out with guys. My best friend was Snake, Samuel Warren. I don't know if you guys know him.
Oh, yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
freelance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and him was like this. Me and him started gangbanging at the same time because we were just these little kids. Yeah. And it's like, ooh, let's go. And then that's how it started. But I was the only girl amongst all these guys. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. So I had the same mentality you're saying, like a guy should have. Like, you better not be crying. You better chin up, chest out. You better get together.
Because that's all you hung around with.
Yes.
So that's how you got that. Like, that's how
and
you
even
inherited.
now, like in relationships, if I'm with a guy, he'd be like, you think you a... No, like somebody taught me this. Like, I don't think I'm nothing. Like, this is how I was taught. This is how I was shown how to do X, Y, and Z.
That's how you grew up.
That's how I grew up. You know what I'm saying? So...
Go ahead, Mike.
So I want
you.
to come back to how you said you were being vulnerable in front of your children. How did that help your relationship with them, and how did you see the growth in them from you doing that?
So, my oldest daughter, she doesn't want to. She's a denial person, and that ain't even a word. But when she sees me crying, she be like, "Mommy, don't start crying, please, don't start crying." Well, you better get with it, cause you got 4 kids, boo.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. So I have to walk her through it.
You got to release.
Yeah, and I have to walk her through why I'm crying, and you have to cry. Like, I'm going to stop, but I have to do this, and I'm going to do it right now. You can't stop me, you know. Jaylyn, my middle child, she talks to me about why I'm crying. We have conversations. She eases me through it. So she's very understandable about things that are going on. She's my friend. You will have a kid friend. You will. You're going to need that. You're going to be their friend, but then as they get older, they're going to be your friend.
And you can lean on them.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. John, he sees me crying and be like, "Mom, you gonna be all right? You need me to do something?" "No, nigga, I don't need you to do anything." Excuse my language. No, I don't. But it didn't change them. I'm still that mom that takes care of business. Because after I finish crying, then I'm back to
it.
Yeah.
I got to get it done.
Yeah.
I only got 10 minutes to cry.
You back in
Right.
general
And then
mode,
I'm back
right?
in.
Yeah.
I got to figure this out. I got to do
But
this. I got to do that. I shake it off.
But have they been more, I guess, like since you've been more vulnerable in front of them, have they been willing to share stuff with you
Yes.
about how they've been feeling? Stuff
Yes. Our relationship is better. I'm to the place now where Mommy used to do us like this, and Mommy used to do it like that. We have those conversations.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's our bond is getting tighter because of this. Yeah. It's not chasing them away. It's getting tighter because I can explain to them, what's going on. And I do that with my granddaughter as well. Maybe I'm not supposed to, but I'm molding her to. Whether some people can take game right now, but some people have to bump their head.
It could be a little bit of both, right?
It could be a little bit of both. So, I share now.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's
I probably wish I could have shared, when they were younger, but
just think how many. Just honestly, like think
Better late than never.
yeah.
Yeah. So like I think the key word you said is sharing, right?
Yeah.
And, sharing is communication,
Yes.
right? And just think about how many issues that could have been cleared up by just sharing, right?
And let me tell you
Especially-
something, Courtney. If I don't understand something, I'm going to ask you 10,000 questions. And some people get mad at that. They think you being funny, or they think you. No, I don't understand. Like, maybe I'm slow, but make me understand what you're saying. Make me understand what's coming out your mouth so I can take it.
Right.
Because what you perceive may not be what I perceive.
Yeah, but that willingness of being vulnerable, right? Am I saying it right? Yeah, of being vulnerable,
Yeah.
right? Could save so many lives. Okay, let's talk about gang culture, right? Imagine how many people would still be alive, right? If someone would just swallow their pride and say, "Man, I feel like this right now. What you did to me made me feel like A, B, C, D, right? And I'm fucking pissed right now. And I'm letting you know this, right? So how are we going to get this together? As opposed to holding on to it, but letting it fester,
Right.
seeing somebody on the holly and blowing their brains out. And they could be they could be from your same hood, or they can be from another hood, or what have you.
Right.
Right.
As men and as women, we really have to, in our culture, we really have to come to the point to where we're open and we're honest about how we're feeling about a certain scenario or a certain type of situation, because it could really save a lot of lives from people getting killed or people being locked up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I
Cole.
agree.
Yeah. It's all about.
And I really agree now, as those young kids like me growing up, by now you should have gotten it, right? You should know.
No, absolutely. So real quick, so you're talking about communication and the way, Cole put it, communication and what else did you say, man?
Being vulnerable.
Being vulnerable and being able to deal with that. Real quick though, I do want to ask you specifically, because you did grow up as a gang member and you got into that crowd.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back and tell your younger self and give your younger self advice, what would you tell yourself?
To slow down.
And why to slow down?
I was just doing too much. I just had to be on the scene. I just had to be there. I just had to be doing something.
Yeah.
If I would have slowed down, maybe I wouldn't have experienced so many traumatic things.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have took nothing from who I am today.
Right.
But I think I would have been a little bit better as far as my mental, if I would have just slowed down and didn't want to be everywhere all the time.
In the mix.
In the mix, yes.
In the mix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what's crazy? I tell the kids that play at Skyland, that play for the Pirates, my version of Park Hill was pretty simple. It was, and granted, because I grew up, like we all grew up around Skyland, but my version of Park Hill just ran simply like this. You had people who took advantage of the activities inside of Skyland, and you had
Right.
people who took advantage of the activities outside of Skyland.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's a high probability if you took advantage of the activities that happened inside of Skyland, it kind of steered you around the gangs, right? And then if you hung out outside of Skyland, like on the Holly, on the south side of the park, you were bound to get into some shit. And it was, I think the politics of Park Hill in the 80s and 90s was literally that simple. Like, granted, you did have people who kind of
It was
in the
simple.
park, in the
They were doing both.
Yeah,
It was
they were
simple,
doing
but
both.
you know what? It wasn't like in other places, because I can only speak about my home.
Yeah.
Nobody was going up to you and was like, "You finna get quoted."
No.
It was nothing like that. You had a decision. You can either roll with me or you roll on. And that was the good thing about it. That didn't make you no less or no more. we all still got along with our peers or whoever we grew up with. That's just what you chose to do.
They'll
Absolutely.
fuck with you a little bit, but
I mean,
I do
but
agree with Kenya.
yeah,
I do agree
you
with
had a
Kenya. They wouldn't
choice.
snatch you.
Absolutely.
They
No.
wouldn't snatch you and saying
They wouldn't.
They
you
might
about to
be just messing
about to
with
be
you
a
for the
blood.
day, but
Yeah.
it wasn't no.
No, it wasn't.
You got to get on right now. You got to
No, it
no.
wasn't.
It's
No.
not easy. Kenya said that, and we was terrified in middle school.
Yeah, we were.
Yo, those walks, I remember I remember going to Bryce to get my hair cut, and I lived on 36 in Ivy, and I remember I would walk all the way up to Camaria.
Yeah, you was in the thick of it.
And I would walk up Camaria. I would go up Camaria to 28th and Ivanhoe to Bryce's house, because I knew the quickest way. I could have cut through Skyland, but I wasn't about to deal with that.
Well, my
Depending who
man.
was in Skyland that
Yeah,
day.
depending on who was there.
Well, my man right here was right. He had a couple of that was right on Ivy Street. So
On his block. Yeah.
on his block, he had. I won't say their names, but no, Dominic Travell and my man's older brother, old OG. He moved to Vegas. What was his name? It wasn't Daniel. Kenya would know him if I said his name. Well, Rodney. Rodney, Sabrina's brother. And then on the end of your block, Jamaica. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you was like in the
On
thick of
Holly.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OG's on Holly.
You could have been from
On
Dog
28th and
Posse,
Holly.
Oh, yeah.
Crenshaw
Oh, yeah.
Mafia.
All that,
You
all
could have
that.
been all that.
Oh yeah. But that was but you know, the vibe in Park Hill to me was always sports, bloods, and wanting to be fresh. 'Cause
Yeah,
people
we
That was it.
clean.
People
yes.
from Park Hill was fresh. Like
fresh.
I
I'm
remember.
telling
No,
you.
this is no shade. This is just my opinion. This is no shade to nobody, right? Park Hill people just look different. When we went places, we kind of stood out. We was kind of isolated, you know what I'm saying, in the 80s and 90s. But man, we stood out, right?
Fam, we was into fashion.
Yeah, we
Like,
was
he
into
gonna-
fashion.
We was into fashion.
Our girls look better, you know.
Absolutely.
You like we just like Park Hill was just a different
Yeah.
type of place, man. Like,
And
we
no,
was-
until your part. No, I mean, until your point. No disrespect to the
No
other boroughs or
disrespect to
hoods
no other
like
neighborhoods.
Montbello or East Side. They all had girls that look good, but Park Hill,
yeah,
we had the cream of the crop.
yeah. Like you
I'm
could,
sorry,
but
we
you
had the
could
cream of the
walk,
crop.
You still
But you
cleaner.
could walk through.
They
yeah,
do,
but
man.
you could walk through Park Hill and feel pretty safe, right, man?
Yeah,
if
because
you couldn't
even though
walk
if you
through-
didn't choose,
Yeah.
they still had you because you was related to Woo Woo.
exactly.
Or
'Cause you was from
somebody
Park
had
Hill,
your
that
back
was
and
it.
you was from Park Hill. Like if you
Absolutely.
from Park Hill, you just from Park Hill.
That's
We
it.
all bond together. That's it.
That's
and
it,
it's
man.
just still
we
like
was
that.
nervous.
Yeah.
We was nervous going to the Glen R.
Oh, absolutely. When
Going
we
to
had
the
to go to
Glen
the
Arm,
East Side.
going to Manual or playing around the East Side because you knew you could get hurt over there.
Yeah, we didn't cross Colorado Boulevard
Yeah.
unless it was sports. It was
Yeah,
like,
sport. Yes,
That's when we would go over there.
But isn't it? But you know your neighborhood's rough, right? When you know you're not in a gang, but you nervous being over there, like you in a gang. Like, come
Yeah.
on, man.
You had to respect the OGs,
You had
though.
to respect it. You had to
I mean,
respect
if you wasn't in the gang, you knew who to
knew.
respect. It wasn't no
Absolutely.
disrespect. It was just like, all right, we in y'all's presence. We gonna be cool.
Right.
It's
Ain't
why
no
them
problems.
days- it's why them
Right.
days- It's why them days you kept your mouth shut. You shot a basketball through a football.
That was it.
Right.
That kept you out of a lot of shit.
And you went home.
And you went home.
You
You
went
took your
home.
ass home.
So, Flower Lady, I'm gonna ask you, what are your 3 podcasts that you're listening to now?
I listen to, so I only listen, I've listened to you guys a couple times, so I love you guys. You guys are the
I
greatest.
appreciate
Then y'all
that.
had the
Thank
Flower
you.
Lady on. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Then I like Drink Champs.
Oh,
That's a good one.
Lenore,
Lenore.
that's a great one.
Yes,
that
I
is a
like
good one.
that.
That
you
is
can
a
just
good
be
one.
drunk talking stuff.
I
And
like
then,
them too.
you know, before, what was their name? Deez and Merrill's became.
Jesus and Merrill,
Deezus and
Bodega-
Merrill.
Bodega
The
Boys.
Bodega Boys.
That
Yeah,
was
I
it.
really liked them, so I followed them to Showtime.
Nice, nice.
Nice.
Yes.
All right. So you're gonna stick around with us for overtime, the second
Yes.
part, so we could just have some fun.
Yeah,
All right. So I'll
I'll be here.
close us out. You never stumble upon the unexpected if you only stick to the familiar. So, like Kenya said, go out there and reinvent yourself, find yourself, and enjoy yourself. We out.
All right, peace.
Yeah, peace.
This podcast, bussin'.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.